This morning, on behalf of the authority, I wish to invite you on a journey with us, that is the Ghana Maritime Authority, into our world. It is our expectation that by the end of this presentation, we would have succeeded in heightening your interest in the work we do at the Ghana Maritime Authority. By way of presentation, we shall have an introduction, followed by our projects and programs, and then there'll be a conclusion. The Ghana Maritime Authority was set up by an act of Parliament to provide safe, secure, efficient shipping services, protect the maritime environment and inland waterways from marine-related pollution, and oversee seafarer activities through effective regulation, coordination, and monitoring of activities in the maritime industry. As a port state, as a port and coastal state, and as a party to several international maritime instruments, Ghana has obligations and responsibilities under international law to put in place adequate and effective systems to exercise control over ships entitled to fly our flag, and to ensure that the ships comply with relevant international rules and regulations in respect of maritime safety, security, and protection of the marine environment. The Ghana Maritime Authority, being the focal point of the International Maritime Organization, has been able to carry out our obligations as required by these international instruments. And this has generated tremendous benefits to the country in the areas of promoting maritime safety, security, and the prevention of pollution from ships. We have executed projects and programs under the functions covering the following areas. 1, compliance with international maritime instruments, maritime labor, maritime safety and security, marine pollution and prevention, and inland water transport. Under maritime labor, the Ghana Maritime Authority has made progress in the following activities: compliance with IMO STCW training requirements, decent conditions for seafarers, shore leave for crew on board, seafarer recruitment and engagement, standardized seafarer employment agreement, pre-sea vocational training program, and a training model for seafarers on fishing vessels, among others. With regard to our compliance with IMO STCW training requirements, the STC Convention sets out minimum standards of training for all persons intended to pursue a seafaring profession. The authority therefore subjected itself to an independent evaluation in accordance with the STC Convention and presented the report to the International Maritime Organization panel of experts for consideration. The panel, after reviewing Ghana's submissions and subsequent engagements, has approved our continuous stay on the white list. This was ratified by the 104th section of the IMO's Maritime Safety Committee. Being on the white list is significant because it means Ghana gives a complete and full effect to the STCW Convention, and therefore certificates of competency issued by the GMA are deemed to meet the highest of standards. And this partly explains the reason why Ghana's seafarers' certificates of competency rank in the top 3 in Africa. Under seafarer welfare and decent working conditions, the authority concerned with the welfare of our people has embarked on an extensive program to improve working conditions on board Ghanaian fishing vessels by regularly carrying out inspections, with particular focus on vessels accommodation and other areas. Indeed, we have progressed in the ratification process of the Cape Town Agreement, which is to ensure and enforce improvement in the structure and efficiency of the hull and machinery of fishing vessels. Steps are also far advanced in incorporating the ILO Convention 188 into our domestic legislations to ensure decent living and working conditions on board Ghanaian registered fishing vessels and foreign registered fishing vessels that call at our ports. These actions are in line with our quest to ensure social justice, that there will be no less favorable conditions, that is, for seafarers working in conventional merchant vessels or workers ashore generally. Then regarding shore leave and crew change, Honorable Minister, our seafarers break their backs to keep the wheels of the global economy rolling. It is therefore absolutely necessary that they are afforded the necessary facilities to rest. Shore leave is therefore mandatorily provided for in the Maritime Labour Convention. This is to ensure social and psychological well-being of the seafarers. Shore leave became of critical importance during the heady days of COVID-19, when crew change was difficult and some seafarers had to work on the duration of their contract. The GMA therefore designated seafarers during this period as essential workers in line with the United Nations and IMO recommendations, and with the support of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic of Ghana. We exempted seafarers from all travel restrictions and lockdown measures. This step, taken by the Ghana Maritime Authority and the government of Ghana, did not go unnoticed. The GMA received an international award from the Nautical Institute, a body with consultative status at the IMO. Regarding seafarer recruitment and engagement, ladies and gentlemen of the press, a key function of the Ghana Maritime Authority is the recruitment and engagement of seafarers. In this regard, the authority has licensed seafarer recruitment and placement service providers to ensure that the recruitment and placement of seafarers is well regulated. It is also to protect seafarers from unscrupulous service providers and to protect their wages and other benefits under the Maritime Labour Convention. As part of efforts to increase seafarer engagement, Ghana recently signed MOUs with the United Kingdom, France, and Brunei Darussalam, bringing to 36 the number of MOUs that Ghana has signed with countries of high fleet, and this enables our seafarers or seafarers holding our certificates of competency to get employed on vessels or ships from these nations that we have signed these MOUs with. The authority has also drafted standardized seafarer employment agreements to be used by Ghanaian vessels, merchant and fishing vessels alike. This is to ensure that provisions under the Maritime Labour Convention and the ILO Convention 188 are adhered to. The Seafarer Employment Agreement clearly defines the rights of seafarers and also contains information such as duration of a seafarer's contract, hours of work and rest, monthly wages, including allowances for work done, and the capacity to be engaged. The draft agreement has been forwarded to the Labour Department for their input and subsequent implementation. Last year, at the Day of the Seafarer celebration, which is an annual event, our officials made presentations to select seafarers and their leaders on their rights, to which they are entitled under international law. This was to ensure that they can assert these rights. We have also developed a pre-sea vocational training program for ratings in conformity with STCW for deck and engine ratings. This initiative is to encourage more Ghanaian youth to take up seafaring careers and to facilitate their upskilling. The initiative also absorbs high school graduates into competency courses for ratings. The purpose for this initiative, what is the purpose for these initiatives? It is part of the authority's overarching vision of making Ghana a top seafarer supply nation, to improve foreign exchange earnings and the livelihoods of the populace. Development of a training model for seafarers on fishing vessels. In line with our mandate, the authority has developed a training model on basic safety and security training for fishing vessel personnel. This includes efficient deckhand and lifeboat training to ensure safety of life at sea. A curriculum for the familiarization and basic safety training with respect to the mandatory safety course and the ISPS course on ship security for Ghanaian fishing vessel personnel has been developed. Regarding maritime security, just as we have crimes onshore, we also have crimes offshore. This has called for a surveillance system. Therefore, at the GMA, we have acquired what we call a VTMIS, that is Vehicle Traffic Management Information System. The Vessel Traffic Monitoring and Information System is an enhanced electronic surveillance system which has the capacity of monitoring the entire coast of Ghana including the exclusive economic zone and the Volta Lake, using its integrated electronic detection and transmitting equipment. The establishment of the VTMIS increased the awareness of our maritime domain, leading to the decrease in illicit maritime activities in our waters. Further to the provision of safety and security of ships in our maritime domain, the following control areas within Ghana's maritime jurisdiction are under continuous surveillance. And these include the West Africa Gas Pipeline, the Tema Oil Pipeline, Abuaji Oil Pipeline, the Ghana Gas Pipeline, Jubilee Oil Fields, 10 Oil Fields, Sankofa Oil Fields, and then fishing prohibited zones. From our records, the following were achieved when the system was established and became fully functional. Piracy and armed robbery in our maritime domain drastically reduced. Movements of vessels within control areas were effectively monitored. Fishing within prohibited areas were controlled. The GMDSS was effectively implemented by the reception and relays of distress calls from vessels within our area. Ship owners and ship operators have developed confidence in operating within our waters. Patrol boats. As a nation, we are confronted with maritime security threats, which emanate from the lack of control over our waters, the waters of the Gulf of Guinea and insecurity along the Ghanaian coast. As part of our mandate to ensure security within Ghana's maritime jurisdiction, the authority has taken steps to complement the existing measures that have been instituted to address illicit maritime activities to maintain maritime security on our waters. In this regard, the authority has procured a Mercy-class patrol mothership and a daughter craft to improve surveillance and patrol activities within Ghana's maritime jurisdiction, particularly within the exclusive economic zone. Marine pollution. Honorable Minister, as you may know, the Ghana Maritime Authority superintends over the Ghana Maritime Pollution Act, which provides for the prevention, regulation, and control of marine pollution and applies to a Ghanaian ship wherever she is, a non-Ghanaian ship while it is in a port, offshore terminal, or place within the territorial waters. In order to effectively achieve the main objective of this act, the Ghana Maritime Authority embarked on a concentrated MAPOL inspections campaign in 2021. These actions of the authority were so biting and effective that they were reported in the international maritime media, indicating how Ghana had gone tough on tackling marine environmental issues, with reports of marked increase in MAPOL Annex 4, that is sewage and violations during port state control inspections, particularly in the ports of Takoradi and Tema. The GMA inspectors also targeted violations of garbage and oily water on the MAPOL Annex 4, Annex 5, and MAPOL Annex 5. Under this inspection campaign, vessels violating the MAPOL provisions were heavily fined. If the master refused to pay the fine, the vessel was detained in port pending judgment in court. I am happy to say that these actions drastically reduce ship source pollution in our marine environment. Let me use this platform to caution agents of foreign vessels who, by their actions, encourage these foreign vessels to do things they dare not do in the ports of their originating countries, such as the discharge of raw sewage and garbage into the ocean. We wish to serve notice that the authority will be relentless in the execution of its mandate against marine pollution. The Ghana Maritime Authority also dedicated 2 of its boats equipped with oil spill equipment, including booms, to prevent marine environmental pollution. There have been simulation exercises in the containment and prevention of oil spills from spreading. Trash skimmers. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, cognizant of the threats to our waters posed by plastic from marine and shore sources, and also the danger posed to our water bodies by water hyacinth, the authority has taken delivery of trash skimmers to deal with these threats. We are all aware of the rapid increase of plastic litter in the marine environment and its negative effects on marine life, biodiversity, and human use of coastal and marine resources. It is for these reasons that the authority procured 3 aquatic trash skimmers, or simply put, marine debris harvesters, to help address the plastic litter issue in our waters. The skimmers were delivered to the Volta River Authority and are currently operated on the inland waterways, Pond, Headwater Pond, and the Volta, and the Lower Volta and Adan, to clean up the marine debris, to harvest water hyacinth and plastics that have always been a very big issue affecting the hydroelectric power generation of our dam. Inland waterways. As mentioned earlier, the object of the authority is to regulate, monitor, and coordinate activities in the maritime industry. And for the purposes of achieving this objective, the authority puts in measures to regulate activities on shipping in the inland waterways, including the safety of navigation. In order to effectively carry out these functions, the authority now operates fully resourced satellite offices at Dambai, Axim, and Yeji. The job description of the staff at these satellite offices is to conduct effective surveillance and patrols, as well as search and rescue operations on the inland waterways, and also provide assistance in regulating shipping activities there. Operators training. As part of its function to regulate activities of shipping in the inland waterways, including safety of navigation, the authority has intensified its safety and fire training programs for boat operators. These safety sensitization programs have been identified as one of the most effective measures to ensure safe inland water transportation and reduce boat accidents. The sensitization programs cover passenger safety education, boat line markings, dissemination of weather information, among others. The safety debates at the major boat operating centers involve the following stakeholders: fisher folks, boat operators, boat owners, boat transport commuters, local authorities, services, Fisheries Commission, the Volta Lake Transport Company, VRA, and the Ghana Navy. In conclusion, the prospects in the industry are unending, and these prospects hold the key to the socio-economic development of our nation. Therefore, if you have been excited by this trip into the world of the GMA, we invite you to become our partners in tapping all the potentials in the industry for the benefit of the generality of the Ghanaian people. Thank you very much.
That was a very insightful presentation by the Director General of Ghana Maritime Authority. Thank you so much, sir. Even as a layperson, I think I took some notes and a lot from this presentation. Among other things, that there are a lot of opportunity within the maritime sector, even for SHS leavers. So if you are looking for some non-conventional programs, as we seek to address unemployment in the country, you may like to explore some of those opportunities, most especially by taking the Pre-Sea vocational training program that is introduced by the Ghana Maritime Authority. Also, one takeaway is the fact that we shouldn't pollute our water bodies, the sea, inland water, because it costs the country a lot of money to have it cleaned. If you are an agent, don't be an neighbor for foreigners who will come and destroy our water bodies and cost us so much to get some equipment to have it cleaned. So I believe this is a message that we will encourage journalists present and those watching from home to pass it forward. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now come for your questions. If you have any question, you can raise your hand. We will take 2 sets of questions, and then after the first set, I'll call the Director General to address those questions, and then we'll come for a second set. But as I was sitting there, I was also picking some questions from our social media handles, so I will start with those and then come to you for your questions. There was a question about piracy. The person says the Gulf of Guinea has gained notoriety when it comes to piracy. How are you dealing with the situation as Ghana Maritime Authority? The second question says, what are some of the challenges you face in executing your mandate with regards to prevention of maritime pollution? Those are the questions that I picked from our social media handles. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question, kindly show by hand your name and media house, and then proceed to ask your question. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry. My name is Sarah Apenkro from TV3. I want to find out from the director. He said those who violated the pollution rules on the water bodies, some were fined and some cases are still in the courts. If you can help us with the number of people who were fined and the number of cases at the law courts. You also spoke about the trash skimmers that 3 of the marine harvesters have been bought. Can you help us with the total cost of these particular harvesters? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Please, if any. Okay, so we'll take the second question from this.
Hey, good morning. My name is Della Russell. I work for the Daily Graphic. The DG made mention of safety training for fishermen. And I want to believe safety is very key to them. But then in doing this training, how safe are the vessels being used by these fishermen? Because we all saw recently the accident involving the Comforter 2, and we don't know the status of the other people who were declared missing at sea. So what is the monitoring regime like for these fishing vessels? And then also I want to find out about the Okay, so I think Sarah asked that question, so I will just want to know how much was generated by way of fines that the DG mentioned regarding the polluters. Okay.
Okay. Please, we can take one more for this round. Okay, Nana, please.
Yes, good morning. My name is Nana Poku from the Research Light. The other day you met us, you did indicate that you are removing the tree stumps from the water lake. I don't know how far you have reached. I want to know the development so far. And then the problem with the water hyacinths, you have to have acquired some machinery to deal with it. It's taking over our water bodies. I don't know the arrangement so far. And then my last question, what are the qualifications for people who want to be employed by the GMA, who want to work there? Because what specific qualification do you expect? Who should those people be to be employed by your outfit? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So that will be it for the first round. We'll come back to you.
Honorable Minister, with your kind permission, I'll take some of the questions, and then since I'm here with my technical team, they would also take some of them. Or if there's the need for any further expansion on any point I make or any further elaboration, they will do same. Now, we're beginning from the bottom regarding the removal of tree stumps. Upon assumption of office, we realized that that was one of the major causes to both accidents. So depending on the availability of funds, we earmarked some for removal, and we have done a lot in that regard. Ujakopi, Yeji, quite a number. We've done a lot of them. We've done we have removed a lot of tree stumps from some of our navigable routes to ensure that these accidents that are occasioned by tree stumps are reduced to the barest minimum. So it is an ongoing exercise, and depending on the availability of funds, we would always take on areas that are brought to our attention. We'll do that. Then you also spoke about, your question also had to do with water hyacinth. We said we had brought in these trash skimmers to harvest debris that have found their way into our waters, and again to remove these water hyacinths that have become also a menace for boats and even for the Akosomo Dam. The 3 trash skimmers have been deployed, and I mentioned that we have one on the lower Volta, one in the upper Volta, and then one at Adan, and they are working as I talk to you. They are, for now, the focus is on ensuring that the areas that have concentrated water hyacinths are removed, and areas along the dam that these weeds are beginning to pose a menace to the operation of the dam, these water hyacinths are harvested by trash skimmers. We've entered into a partnership with the Volta River Authority, as I indicated earlier, and at the moment, the equipments or the trash skimmers are being operated by them. So they have been effectively deployed. Your question, there was also a question on how safe are our fishing vessels. And then you made a reference to the accident involving the Comforter 2, which happened somewhere off the Takoradi coast. I mentioned that we embark on periodic inspections on our vessels. We have officers whose sole duty is to do this. But just as you have DVLA charged with the responsibility of ensuring that the vehicles you find on our roads are roadworthy, I'm sure you also are aware or mindful of the fact that checks could be done today, and tomorrow some of the vehicles that have gone under the scrutiny of DVLA have gotten involved in an accident here or there. The accidents may have been occasioned maybe by some recklessness on the part of a driver or an oncoming vehicle or some mechanical problem. The same applies to some of these issues. Our people continue to execute their mandate by way of inspecting these vessels, boats, to ensure that they are of the required standards. But you would also agree that accidents do happen. That is why immediately this accident happened off the coast, somewhere off the Takoradi coast, we have commissioned an investigative body to go into the matter and come up with what occasioned that particular accident. We are yet to be seized with the report, and therefore we cannot attribute the accident to a lack of inspection or any other reason. As soon as that report is made available to us, we assure the public that we will make it public. Yes, so again, I want to also assure you that in terms of monitoring the safety, those vessels, our inspectors are doing what is expected of them. We have some station in Tema, the Tema port, we have some station in Takoradi, and we have people who are also stationed along the Volta Lake. And we mentioned the fact that offices have been established in Yeji, Dambai, and Axim. These are new satellite offices that we have just opened. And among other things, they are to ensure that these boats and ships are they comply with the conventions and standards that we have set for them. Yes, and then one of the questions had to do with the challenges that we are confronted with when it comes to the fight against piracy. The challenges are enormous when it comes to this fight, because as you know, the Gulf of Guinea cuts across a lot of coastal states. And one state, a coastal state like Ghana on its own, cannot fight piracy by its own actions. It calls for collaborative efforts, and therefore mechanisms have been put in place so as to put together resources by member countries to ensure that at least we are able to stem this tide or bring it down to the barest minimum. And you will agree with me that in recent times we haven't had any reports about piracies off our coast in recent times. So yes, we recognize that it is a challenge to shipping. We recognize that it is inimical to business interests, and therefore, as an authority, we have also been able to acquire these boats I referred to earlier, the recent one being the Yasantua, to augment the fleet that we already have, so that our people are able to go on patrols, so that we avert any possible piracy attacks. Now, on this matter, my deputy director in charge of maritime security would also throw a bit of light on this. Then we also have a question regarding challenges that confront us when we try to execute our mandate, or in executing our mandate of preventing maritime pollution. I refer to one of them. Again, port inspectors go on board these vessels and they try to ensure that these vessels that call on our ports are compliant with some international conventions. So where the vessels are found not, for instance, have proper ways of disposing of their sewage or garbage, they attract sanctions. And you recall that I made a reference to some people parading themselves at agents would make an undertaking that such vessels, when detained, are allowed to go, and then they would ensure that whatever fines are used would be duly paid. And we also do this by allowing the vessels to go to ensure that we do not unnecessarily keep vessels too long under detention. The challenge that comes up immediately is that as soon as the vessel leaves our ports, then all of a sudden you find some of these agents coming up with some questions regarding the findings of our inspectors, questioning some of the findings because they know we don't have the vessel here. That is why I said in the presentation that the authority will not relent in its efforts in ensuring that we prevent it completely, the issue of marine pollution in our waters. So for such people who collaborate with some of these principals or these vessels, the warning is because for how long can you go on coming to us and asking for an undertaking to allow a vessel to go, and as soon as the vessel leaves our shores, you begin to now raise issues? So this is one of the challenges when it comes to the execution of this mandate. And having said that, I would invite maybe Captain Ankama, Deputy Director, Maritime Security, to highlight on the issue of piracy. And again, Captain Inusa should also hold himself in readiness to throw some more light on some of the challenges that confronts us when it comes to the issue of prevention of marine pollution. If there are any follow-up questions regarding some of the answers that have been provided, we can draw attention to them and then we'll revisit them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity. I think my Director General has said it all when it comes to what we are doing to ensure that piracy and other insecurity in our maritime environment is brought under control. I will just add a few. And that is, as he said, piracy doesn't know boundaries, and it cuts across, and the pirates can be everywhere. So there is a lot of cooperation and collaboration going on within the region, which most often is spearheaded by the Ghana Maritime Authority. We have this Yaoundé Code of Conduct, which has grouped, or Yaoundé Architecture, if I should say so, which has grouped the countries along the coast in maritime groups so that they can cooperate. The navies within these regions, within this region, under this architecture, are encouraged, and they do actually conduct joint exercises which are being coordinated by the Ghana Maritime Authority so that any of these insecurities will be checked in. And also, Ghana Maritime Authority has helped in the operations of other friendly, foreign countries, like European countries, whatever, who actually also come in to help us to check this piracy in our waters. So just for you to know what the effect of this has been, is just to give you some few statistics. From 2019, we had this insecurity across the Gulf of Guinea, totaling about 127 in 2018. It came to 139 cases reported in 2020, and by the end of 2021, we had just 74. That tells you how the cooperation, the activities of Ghana Maritime Authority, the activities of the Ghana Navy and other navies in the region are helping to solve this problem. And as my boss said, since the beginning of the year, I don't think you heard much about this kind of piracy issues. And it all goes to all these things I've been talking about. And when it comes to going far out at sea, as I mentioned, Ghana Navy and the other navies come in to help us. And within our territorial waters and coasts, Ghana Navy, we have our boats, as has been said, and we do everything possible to ensure that we have maritime security under control in our region. I think. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you for the question. When it comes to the seafaring profession, on the vessel there are two main areas. Those in charge of the navigation, they are the bridge, and those in charge of the machinery, the engineers. There are two routes of becoming a seafarer. It's either you go in strictly to the Maritime University and undertake one of these courses, that is a diploma in either nautical science for the navigational side, or marine engineering for marine engineering or electrical. If you come in from the high school background, you have the opportunity to progress to the level of a master mariner or a chief engineer. The process is such that it's a combination of classroom work and experience. So for someone coming from the high school, you go in for the pre-C vocational course, you choose to go for rating, forming part of a navigational watch. You go to sea for 12 or 36 months, then you come back, and then you are enrolled into another course that will lead you to the officer. And so it's a great opportunity for those who are coming out from the secondary schools to look at that option rather than the traditional university.
The growth, welfare and productivity of staff is very, very important and key. Not forgetting that we have the job of making sure that we put the client or the customer first.
You want to plan a business in Ghana? Not lie.
If you put all this money into the business, in less than 2 months, you go get them double.
We have to get this out of the way. Because business is all about trust. And if we can hide something as sensitive as this from our spouses...
Okay, you haven't asked any questions, so we'll take yours first. David, 1, 2, and then we'll take the third question.
My name is James Amo Jr. from the Ghana News Agency. Please, I want to know how pervasive the issue of environmental crimes, including illegal fishing, how pervasive is it on our territorial waters?
Honorable, I think DG omitted all my 2 questions I asked during the first round, so I'd like to take it again. I presume it was escaped.
Okay.
I wanted to find out the vessels that were caught violating the pollution on the waters, how many have been fined so far, and how many cases are in court. And also wanted to find out the 3 aquatic marine debris harvesters, if we could help us with the amount. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we'll take the third question from Donna.
So, Della here again. DG mentioned that they've set up a commission to investigate the Comforter 2 accident, and that they'll make the report public. I remember the last time we sat here, we discussed the issue of an ammonia leakage at the Tema port, which killed a man on a vessel, and they said they were going to make a similar report out when, depending on what their investigations are out with. We don't have anything, so how do we therefore trust that this process also, the report will be made public? And then also, DG, I also want to find out what is the status of the National Integrated Maritime Strategy? Where are we? Are we done with the governance structure? And when is the implementation going to commence? Thank you.
National Integrated Maritime Strategy.
Yeah.
Please, if you have any question, this is the best time to ask, as we take this as the last set of questions. If not, we'll call the Director General to respond to your questions. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I want to make a formal request. We are being told theoretically what happens at the maritime front. We are not physically seeing or experiencing some of these things. If it is possible for the MD or whatever to take us to go and see things for ourselves so that we can have fili gadochi sort of thing.
Like a study tour for the press corps?
Yes, something like that.
Okay, thank you. I take that to be the last question. Okay, thank you.
So, quickly, the one who wants to know the cost, where's that? Do you want to give us some money to buy some more? Well, the cost for the tray trash aquatic skimmers is about 800,000 USD, the cost. So we are inviting donations if you want to give us some more money so that we put a lot more on the Volta Lake to ensure that we remove all the water hyacinths that have become a menace to shipping on our river bodies. Yes, in terms of the cases that are in court, I'm not able to readily give you the number of cases, yes, but we have some cases. I know we have some in Takoradi, which our legal team is taking care of, and we do have some to hear in terms of people who have been fined and were not able to pay, and then we have had to resort to the courts. I think we have a number of them. I can't put a finger on the number of court cases. Then there are, if my memory serves me right, regarding that ammonia leakage question you held at us during the last session, we didn't say we're coming back. I recall we invited the Deputy Director in charge of Maritime Security to give you a briefing on what had happened. An investigation was conducted, and the conclusion was that it was an accident. So for us as an authority or a regulatory body, all we had to do was to learn from that experience and to put in place measures to ensure that we do not have this recurring. I recall this vividly. That's exactly what we said. So we did not say we would be coming to you with any reports. The question was answered here. And then regarding Comforter 2, it is a matter of national interest. And I want to reassure you that we have set up a team of investigators, and as soon as they are ready with the findings, we would have to put it out for everybody to know what happened. There will be no point in hiding it, and we as an authority do not have anything to benefit from hiding an investigation report of that nature. So be assured that when it is ready, we'll put it out there. Then the last gentleman made an appeal that they would want to also visit some of the sites where all the things we have mentioned are taking place. I think it's a call in the right direction. You would have to liaise with our PR session. Malik, I know is one of your colleagues. You agree on some timelines and perhaps the areas you would want to visit, and I'm sure the authority would facilitate that. Yes, so I'll now invite Captain Inusa to end his by telling us how pervasive environmental pollution is in our water bodies and what we are doing.
Very well, thank you very much, DG and Honorable Minister, friends of the media. Thank you for this opportunity. During the presentation, the Director General highlighted a program on maritime pollution. And the key issue he mentioned there was the supremacy, or we superintend over the Maritime Pollution Act, which is Act 932. And this act is a domestic legislation for the International Maritime Organization with respect to the prevention of marine pollution, which we for short call the MARPOL. So all provisions of the MARPOL are domesticated in the Maritime Pollution Act, which we superintend over. And it's based on these provisions that we find ships, because under the MARPOL Convention, one of the articles, Article 4, calls on every member state or who is a party to that convention to institute punitive actions. And these penalties must be severe in nature so that they prevent all shipping activities or all ships from polluting our waters. That is how come we have heavy fines in the Maritime Pollution Act, which we duly exercise during our inspections. For instance, you go on board a ship and they violate the provisions of the Maritime Pollution Act. If you go into the Pollution Act with the relevant section of the regulation, you get a punitive action there. And that is where we have these fines. And like the Director General mentioned, last year Ghana was in the, shipping news about prevention of pollution in our waters. And it is a campaign that we are continuing. We issue our notices, we issue our circulars, and then we go on board to carry out this our day-to-day monitoring to ensure that our, marine environment is always clean. And the main idea or the objective of that Maritime Pollution Act is to monitor, regulate, and then prevent pollution from ships under our flag and all ships that call into our ports. To tell you about the complications or the hazards of marine pollution, we all know. Plastic, that was mentioned during the presentation, we know it harms a lot of biodiversity. If a fish or big fishes take in this plastic, it's a very big problem, and this has always been an issue. With the discarded gear from the fishing vessels, we fight against that in order to keep our environment clean. So we have a lot of actions that we take, and if you have chance to go through the Maritime Pollution Act, you see whatever it covers. Pollution by sea, of oil, by sewage, or by pollution by sewage, by garbage, and of late, we are dealing seriously with the air pollution issues, controlling emissions of the atmosphere that will bring hazards like the climate change, which our leaders have duly signed to mitigate. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, Minister. I'm back here to talk again on somebody asked about the status of the NIMS, that's the National Integrated Maritime Strategy. The status is that everything is completed, the draft is completed with all its attachments, which include the implementation plan and strategic communication document. It's currently with the Ministers of Transport and Ministers of National Security. In fact, if I should say, it's currently being considered by Cabinet. So once Cabinet gives clearance for it, we will launch it and everybody will come to know what details we have in that document. So that is the status of it as at now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I will now call on the Director General to give us his closing remarks, and then we can
Once again, Honorable Deputy Minister, colleague, management members from GMA, our brothers and sisters from the press, we have been provided with this platform to journey with you into our world, to let you understand what it is that we have been set up to do, how far we have come. We are confronted with many challenges, as we pointed out during the presentation. But be rest assured that as a regulatory body, we are never going to shirk the responsibility that have been entrusted to us by the various acts that we operate with. It is a charge to keep that we have, and we assure you that we will not let the country down when it comes to the implementation of our functions. Having said that, once again, thank you, Honorable Minister. Thank you, the press, for giving us this opportunity to share with you what we have done thus far. Thank you.
On that note, I say a very big thank you to Director General of Ghana Maritime Authority, Mr. Thomas Alonsi, and the delegation from the authority, government spokespersons who are present, the media, and all invited guests. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good morning.